The Wilson 3x3 official game basketball. I'm Tony. Welcome back to Streetball Strategies.
Still got it. Ambition for the journey, and I still got it. Put a fire on the dream, and I still got it. Blaze trails for the team, and I still got it.
Oh, y'all thought I forgot. Y'all thought I fell off. Y'all thought the basketball reviews on this channel were through. Well, they kind of were, but we are back today with what might be the most unique basketball I have ever reviewed. There's a lot of good things to say about this basketball, so strap in for a long video as we discuss why the Wilson 3x3 official game basketball could very well be a game changer. To start with, a little background on this basketball. This is the official 3x3 basketball that the players use when they play, and it cost $40 in 2024. I say that to contrast this basketball against the Wilson official NBA basketball, which costs $200, which can only be used or should be used indoors on hardwood and takes time to break it in before it performs the way it's supposed to. I like that you can get this official game basketball that the players use. It's easily accessible compared to the NBA basketball, which is $200, not very useful anywhere but on hardwood, and it's way less accessible than this official basketball. Secondly, this basketball is a size 6 basketball. Most standard men's basketballs are size 7. So while this basketball is noticeably smaller than the basketballs you're probably used to using, this basketball, when properly inflated, also weighs and has the same weight and heft as a size 7 basketball. For those of you who know, it's about the same size as a Molten BG 3800 basketball. And while you will notice that it's slightly smaller, it's not going to make that much of a difference. It's not going to be distracting for your game. You'll notice the size difference at first, but especially when you start using it, breaking it in, especially in games and competition, the fact that it's slightly smaller will vanish pretty quickly. You'll completely forget that it's slightly smaller than you're used to. Thirdly, something to keep in mind throughout the rest of this video is keep in mind this ball is specifically designed, created for FIBA 3x3 basketball, specifically that style of basketball, meaning it's meant for a very fast, up-tempo, almost chaotic style of basketball. Mainly because in 3x3 you only have a 12-second shot clock. And in reality you really only have a 10-second shot clock, because by the time you get a rebound, clear the ball out past the three-point line, and start setting up your offense, now you only have a 10-second shot clock, really most of the time at most. Because of that shot clock, it can lead to very up-tempo, quick, frantic kind of basketball that has a lot of catching and shooting. It is clear that the design and engineering of this basketball was meant to cater to that style of basketball. So keep all of that in mind when we get into the 5 criteria I have for evaluating a basketball, which is the material of the ball, the pebbling of the ball, the grip channels, the perceived durability, and the value of the basketball. Starting with the material of this basketball has a composite leather cover on it. Now when it comes to composite leather, that material has a pretty big spectrum, wherein even though a ball is technically made out of composite leather can feel very different considering basketball to basketball. For example, composite leather, even though it's technically leather, can feel very rubbery, very sticky, very tacky. And on the other side of the spectrum, you can have a composite leather basketball that feels like it's genuine leather, meaning it's very soft, very silky. Usually the kind of composite leather a ball has is determined by what style of play is it going to be used for. Is it going to be more indoor or more outdoor? Now, while this basketball is much more of an outdoor style basketball, it wasn't really designed and created to be used on asphalt and blacktop and concrete, even though it performs perfectly fine on these hard abrasive surfaces. It was designed to be used on the FIBA interlocking kind of plastic portable tiles that FIBA uses for their official gameplay. So therefore, the material of this basketball, being composite leather, falls in a very nice sweet spot in the very middle of that spectrum. It's got a little bit of that soft, silky feel to it with just a touch of tackiness as well. It's directly in the middle, nice sweet spot for what this basketball is and how it's supposed to be used. As for the pebbling is exactly what it needs to be and should be, because this is a composite leather basketball that's supposed to feel like it's right in the center of that spectrum. The pebbling on this basketball should be that of a standard classic kind of composite leather basketball, meaning it's pretty flat. Usually if a ball has more pronounced pebbling on it, it's usually a rubber basketball that's meant more so for outdoor basketball use on hard abrasive surfaces. This basketball doesn't have that, because if the pebbling was more pronounced, then this ball would be a little more tacky than it probably should be. So therefore, there's nothing special about this pebbling. It's very standard, but it fits this kind of basketball perfectly. Now, coming to the grip channels of this basketball, that's what could make this ball a game changer. For those of you who don't know or not familiar with grip channels, what they are, what they do, what they're intended for, what they're meant to do is to give your fingertips a little bit more of a purchase on the basketball. When you can get your fingertips on and kind of like in or more around an object, the more control of that object you're going to have. So when you have these little indentations in the basketball that let your fingertips get a little bit more around the basketball and kind of into the basketball, you get a little bit more control, a little bit more precision when using the basketball. So not only does this ball have the standard main grip channels on the basketball, it also has what they call a wave triple threat technology. Now, I admit that name does sound kind of gimmicky, like it's a gimmick, like it's meant to sell the basketball. But let me tell you, it is very functional. What this triple wave technology is pretty much these little indentations on the panels of the basketball. In my mind, I think of them, I call them like mini grip channels. They're pretty much just little lines of indentation across the paneling, the composite leather paneling of the basketball. And they act as pretty much little mini grip channels. And because this basketball is specifically designed for 3x3 style basketball, that up-tempo, fast, catch and shoot kind of basketball, these mini grip channels are crucial to being able to catch the ball quickly and get a shot up quickly. In my opinion, a basketball cannot have too many grip channels, because especially when you're in a hurry to get a shot up, when you catch a ball, right, if you depend on getting your fingertips down to the grip channel in order to get your fingers where they are ideally wanting to be to shoot the ball properly, well, when you're in a hurry, that little split second that it takes to catch the ball and then adjust your fingers to where the grip channels are, even though it's only a fraction of a second, can cost you and can distract you and thus can mess up your shot. It probably happens more than you really realize. But with this wave triple threat technology, no matter where you catch the ball, there's always a grip channel very close to your fingertips. No matter where you get a purchase on the ball, it's very close to having your fingertips having a grip channel to get that precise control. And that can be crucial for that up-tempo, fast, catch and shoot over and over and over again, the whole game kind of basketball. And because these are only like mini grip channels, they're not distracting. So when you're holding the ball, handling the ball, dribbling, passing, they don't feel like distracting. It doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel like you're not going to be able to get used to it. It just feels natural after a few minutes. Not only that, but the main grip channels on this basketball are very similar to many other composite leather basketballs, in that composite leather basketballs, especially ones that are in the middle or more going towards that leather end of the spectrum, meaning they're softer, more silky kind of basketballs, less kind of grip on them. To compensate for that, a lot of composite leather basketballs will have their grip channels, they will lay down a strip of rubber inside of the grip channel so that if the panel of the basketball is kind of smooth and silky and doesn't have that much grip, at least inside the grip channels on that seam, you will have a little bit more of grip on your fingertips for more precise shooting. This ball has that as well, but it takes it a step further. See, on most composite leather basketballs that have that rubber seam inside the grip channel, that rubber is usually just flat. It's kind of like a stretched out rubber band. But not only does this ball have rubber seams on inside its grip channels, but the rubber seams are also pebbled, which doesn't sound like much, but when you feel it, you really do feel the difference. You can feel the material difference between the composite panel and the rubber grip inside the grip channel. It's subtle, but it does make a difference, and you can feel it, you can tell it when you catch the basketball. I don't think I've seen that design on any other composite leather basketball. Now, rubber basketballs may just have, they're just rubber all over. So the entire ball is rubber, the entire ball's pebbled. Like the cover of the basketball is just kind of indented so that the grip channels just happen to also have rubber pebbling inside their grip channels because the whole ball is rubber and the whole ball is pebbled. But this is the only composite leather basketball that I can think of, that I know of, that is composite leather on the panels but pebbled rubber on inside the grip channels. And it's not just a gimmick, it is very functional. You can feel the difference. It does genuinely help. This ball was meant for control and precision when it comes to shooting on the go, catching and shooting quickly. When it comes to the perceived durability of the ball, how long the ball is probably going to last you, I will say that as soon as you get your hands on this basketball, you feel nothing but quality. Like I said, even though it's a size 6, it feels, the heft of it feels like a size 7. And then you feel the composite leather panels on this basketball. They feel like good quality composite leather. They're nice and smooth. They have that little bit of a cushion to them when you push on it. They feel like they're very substantial. Like some composite leather feels like it's kind of thin and flimsy. This doesn't feel like that at all. It feels nice and good, nice and thick. And then when you run your fingertips over the rubber grip channels, you feel that rubber, you feel that pebbling, you feel that quality. And then combine that with the mini grip channels, and now you just have an overall basketball that feels like it was designed for quality. It was created for a very specific kind and style of basketball, but they did it to the highest quality they possibly could. Because of that, the durability of the ball feels like it's going to last at least as long as any other basketball that you've had. Durability can be very subjective because it's all about how often do you use the basketball? How much wear and tear do you put on a basketball? If you use this basketball as much as any other basketball, there's no reason to think that it's not going to last at least as long as any other basketball that you've used. But there is a distinct chance that you will like and enjoy this basketball so much more than any basketball you've had that you'll use it more often, and thus there is a chance that it will break down faster than those other basketballs only because you use it that much more often. But on average, if you use it as much as you've used any other basketball, I would guess, feeling the quality of it all, that it's going to last you at least as long as any other basketball. And then coming to the value of the basketball, which is also very subjective. If this basketball happens to fit you and fit your playing style, then the $40 that's being asked for it in 2024 is very appropriate in my opinion. If my description of this basketball sounds like it even remotely fits you and your playing style, then you should immediately go down to my affiliate links below and get this basketball because you will not be disappointed. $40 for this basketball, if it fits you, is a deal. I think this ball is going to be very polarizing in that sense. It's either going to fit you and $40 is an amazing price for it, or it's not going to fit you and your game and your playing style, and therefore there are other $40 basketballs or less that probably fit your game and your style more, and you should probably find those balls and use those balls instead. And I think $40 is also a great price in terms of replacing this basketball. So, it's an outdoor kind of basketball. It's composite leather. It's going to break down sooner or later. And if you use this basketball and you love it, and thus you're going to need to replace it, say, for example, every year, I think $40 for what could very well turn out to be your favorite basketball, $40 every year to replace it, I think is a very reasonable price. To me, if this happens to turn out to be your favorite basketball, if it were $60, $75 and you had to replace it every year, I think for the advantage it may afford you, it could very well be worth that price. Speaking of the advantages this basketball may afford you, let's touch on the uniqueness and kind of novelty of this basketball. I've talked in the past on this channel about how using your own basketball when you come out to a random park with random strangers, people that don't know you, how using your own basketball in games and competition against them, your ball being the ball that's used for those games, can be a very good advantage. The reason for that being, you know your basketball better than anyone else out here does. You know it, you've mastered it when no one else out here has. Therefore, you have an advantage using your basketball in games that no one else does. So think about that in terms of this basketball, right? There's no other basketball that I know of, that I can think of, that, first of all, looks the way this basketball looks. Just the colorway itself, you got the yellow and the purple with the orange accent. I don't know of any other basketball like that. Sure, there are other colorful basketballs out there, but most of those basketballs are just kind of plain rubber basketballs, and even the composite leather basketballs that are multicolored are usually only just two-tone. And those basketballs are usually off-brand basketballs that make their basketballs those colors so that they can draw attention to them. This basketball is Wilson. It's the official basketball of the NBA. It's the official basketball of the FIBA 3x3. So when you show up to a random court with random strangers, this ball is going to get eyeballs on it, probably more so than any other basketball out here, especially a plain old regular orange or brown basketball. So that's number one. People are going to see this ball. It's going to attract their attention more so than any other basketball. But secondly, once they see the little bit of the wave technology here, they're going to want to get their hands on this basketball. They're going to want to feel it and feel what it's like, because it looks unique compared to every other basketball. And when they get their hands on this basketball, that's when you got them, because they're going to feel the quality of this basketball. They're going to feel the wave technology in these little mini grip channels. And they're going to be curious as to what it would be like to use this ball in game and in competition. This ball is much more likely than any other basketball to be chosen to be used in games out here when you're out here with strangers. And if you know this ball, if you're used to it, if you've mastered it when no one else here does, then you have an advantage over them that they don't have. It may not be a huge advantage, but that's what this channel is all about. It's all about taking little bits of pieces of, things here and there that other players don't do, don't think of, don't take seriously, and putting those things together over time so that you can even the playing field out here. So when you put all of that together, you put the high quality basketball that this is, combined with, if it happens to fit your game style, the way you play, and all of the advantages that will cost you to have with your game, then I would say this ball is a must-buy, must-have basketball. And if you're thinking, well, I don't really play up-tempo basketball, or I'm not much of a catch-and-shoot kind of player, let me put it to you like this. I am a pass-first point guard. I don't shoot. I have no interest in shooting the basketball. This basketball specifically would not fit me and my game, but because I am a pass-first point guard and my friends out here, my teammates, are shooters, they could really use this basketball. just have a feeling my friends could shoot the lights out using this basketball. So if for nothing else, if it doesn't apply to me in my game, I know that my teammates could make great use of this basketball, and thus I would buy it, I would keep it, I would use it specifically for them. If you could think of, or you already have a use case scenario for this basketball and it fits in that use case, this is a must-have, must-buy basketball. It's not going to fit everybody, it's not going to be applicable to every player, but for those players that it is, it's very well going to fit perfectly. It could very well end up becoming your favorite basketball if it fits you well. And I don't say that about most basketballs, because most basketballs are pretty similar in the way they can be used player to player, because most basketballs are pretty similar to each other. It's just a matter of like, okay, what material do you prefer and how does a certain basketball happen to fit your game? Even if like basketball A is a little bit better, you can have a different basketball that's a different material. It's pretty even as to like you could use one or the other, and one is going to give you a little bit of an advantage, but for the most part they're going to perform basically the same for you. This is the first basketball in history where I'm making the proclamation that if this ball does fit your game, it can make a big change, improvement in the way you play the game. This ball is that unique. It can be that much of a game changer if it fits you. So I want to thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, if you found it helpful, if you think it's going to help you decide whether or not you should give this basketball a try, and I think even if you're kind of on the fence about it, though I can't imagine that anybody really would be, but if you are, I would say buy this basketball, give it a try. You're not going to regret it, even if you're like, yeah, it's okay, I guess, but it doesn't really fit the way I play. You're not going to regret spending the money just to give it a try. So if you did find this video helpful to make that decision, then please subscribe to the channel. And if you do have this basketball, if you have used it, then let us know down in the comments how and why you like it. But before you comment, make sure you hit that thanks button down below, because not only does hitting that thanks button make all of your comments highlighted and thus stand out from all the other comments, but it also directly supports the channel. So for anyone that does hit that button, know I genuinely appreciate it. As always, like, share, comment, like I said, make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever any video goes live on this channel. And until then, I'll see you guys next week.
That I'm leaving, came in a wave at the people, B-I-G-I, stampede away from an equal. When you gotta get it, buckle down and handle business, and you know to play your role, just in case you don't get to a sequel.